The experience back on August 11th, 1995, when the thought came to me about the pyramid and the world being in the other direction. And all I had was a thought all that time. Made a map based on the map I received from the travel agency course that I took. We were going over airport itineraries. And from that point, all I had was that map. I was going to take it to the Million Man March, but I did not. And after that, it was in 1996 in July that the word 1555 came to me, and I knew that this map that I've been holding for the last year had to go on 441. Like I said, all this was a thought. But after I put the billboard up, the houses, like I said, were laid out like Orion across Orlando, was shown. And then from that point on, the idea that Orlando itself was the dollar bill, which came in November. And again, all these were thoughts. Then I saw the billboard, gold-faced billboards that created the triangle around one of the houses, which I saw on the program that made the triangle into the Great Pyramid, and the Great Pyramid showing Orlando as a dollar, with the airport itself being at was McCoy Air Force Base as the Great Seal. Again, all this was a thought. Where do your thoughts come from? Your thoughts come from your mind. And where am I at right now? I'm in the mind. Did you see that water fountain? As I spoke about the Millennium Mall, showed you the obelisk and the reflection pond, showing you that it was all connected. The mall at Millennia. Now you're looking at a fountain here itself, not far from there, on John Young. And I said John Young itself was John Young, the astronaut, the first astronaut to fly in the space shuttle, 1981, connecting the layout itself back to Kennedy Space Center, John F. Kennedy, which I said the Millennium Boulevard goes from Oak Ridge to John Young Parkway, which is JFK or Kennedy Space Center, Nassau, and I mentioned the Orion all together, saying that this is connected. And again, these were thoughts that were transmitted from one to another. And the idea of a thought in the mind. Now, if you take a look where you're at right now, where I'm at, once you pull back and we take a aerial view of where I'm standing now, which you will see I'm in the mind. How could it be? How could it be that I'm showing this at the same time I'm showing the Millennium Mall, showing you the Spirit, the Millennium area, the obelisk, connecting them to the Million Man March, Washington, D.C., talking about houses like Orion, showing you the houses like Orion, connecting this whole layout back to that point, meaning a spirit moving back and forth. It's not bound by time, just like the whole layout of the billboard being on checkers. In a game of checkers, you move across the board, go to the other side, get a double crown, and then you're able to fly around the board. This is just what I'm doing, collecting parts, pieces, all this connecting together. I got all these things, all these pieces that I've been pulling off the board, like a game of checkers, which used to be played during the Pyramid Age itself. This is all real. You may not understand or see the communicating connection, but this is an unbroken chain going all the way back to my childhood. with those two beams that used to show up in my room. And they left a mark that I removed from my body at the age of 13. How could I say all that and show all this and be making it up? Take a good look at what I'm showing you. It means the billboard itself, as I mentioned, was basically magic. Everything that happened after the fact, showing the world in the opposite of all, meaning the world itself, the foreclosure of the world, going back to living on 96th Street in Columbus, the new world. Well, this is the new world. The Millennium Mall, showing the layout like a sperm and an egg, new birth, a new cooptus, just like what's on the dollar bill itself, the birth. This is real. People talk about it, I'm showing it. It's about where I'm standing at, looking across the little lake here at the fountain I was talking about. This is the spot where I was recording, saying I'm in the mind. And only if you understand what I'm talking about is to give you an area view of where I'm standing at when I said that. Now this area here, you can see, design, Park Central, just as a brain. You see the outer layout here, going around the neck, back, front, throat, back, face, front, all the way around, which would be the brain. Inside the brain, which I have a brain right here, behind me, showing you the pineal gland, right there. Where's the pineal gland? The pineal gland is where you have your dreams, your visions, intuition, gut feelings, all those things you have that make you see things or not that you hadn't seen, and then you feel it, and then it happens. That's where it all comes in, through that pineal gland. That's where it all happens at. So this is where I'm showing you where I'm standing at, because this would be located right here. And this happened to be on John Young, which John Young Parkway stands for John Young. John Young was an astronaut, flew in the first space shuttle mission in 1981, which is all connected to what I'm talking about. His nickname in school, high school, was Brains. So here we have a brain structure next to John Young Parkway, which we know that couldn't have been the relevance of why they put it there. Like they knew that his name was Brains in high school when they wanted to make a complex, Park Central, on John Young, to reference that they were talking about John Young the astronaut. But I'm telling you, that's what it's referencing. Where I said John Young Parkway, also referencing Kennedy Space Center, NASA. This is what I want to get into, because this is what it's all about. The Stargate. Stargate, you have the conscious, the out-of-body experience. These are the things that are real. This is what's real. I've said this years ago. Now, to make it more clear, maybe not, sometimes people tend to believe what they don't see and don't believe what they do see, or what's shown to them. Well, either way, it doesn't make a difference. Well, here we go. I said it was Kennedy Space Center, NASA, and I said that here we have something connected to a Stargate, space. Now, as I go through this, I'm telling you that I'm sure you have never seen anything like this before. Now, if I say this is representing Kennedy Space Center, John Young, and it should have something else a little bit more, kind of like referencing that too.
So we have a brain, which I said is here. You may see something else, but it's a brain. That would mean that this had to be connected to some else other situation with a brain. Now, this is Kennedy Space Center, which this is Park Central. Of course, it's a residential community, but it represents something else as an antenna communicating between two worlds as through a physical manifestation. I don't understand, but I've learned to understand over the years. Now, going back to John Young, John F. Kennedy, Kennedy Space Center, Nassau, John Young Parkway, all those things what I said, the brain. Then we got John Young's nickname in school was Brains. Also, John F. Kennedy was shot in the back of the head where his brain was exposed. That was in 1963. November 22nd, 1963. Now, what street is that right here? Texas. Where was he shot? In the back of the head. In Texas. Where is Texas located on this picture? In the back of the brain. Okay? Now, you can take that one and you can bank that one. Circumstantial evidence, you might want to think. Then we have Millennium Boulevard, which didn't exist in 1996, 1997, 1998, when everything happened to me as far as when I became aware of this. This structure here didn't exist until 2007. So this is something else that was recently built. Now, what this all goes to, connecting to, is that I was here during the time. These three houses. This one here, 5312, 5320, 5312, and 5301. Snowflake Court. Like at this house here, March 16th, 1989. This one here, June 16th, I believe, 1989. And this one came in November 1994, which I basically took it over from a neighbor who was losing the house. And I saved the house, but I never really took it out my name. This one here, my name, I had this with my brothers, but still, everything I had basically controlled all these houses here. Now, if you want to go back and look it up, you're going to see here, this one here is under my name, but that's neither said here or there. It goes a little further than that. I said that it was back in 1996 that these houses came to me as a layout of the three pyramids in Egypt and the stars of Orion to a program that you're going to see later on connects this. Now, having said that, this house here, which is the smaller house representing the smaller star in Orion. This one here is a little larger house, which represents the middle house that's connected to the Sphinx, Hermaket. And this one represents the Great Pyramid. As you can see, the right angle, or the right angle square, or the cornerstone, so to speak. Okay. Now, again, you can see it, you can believe it, you cannot see it, and don't believe it. But it's here. Now, to go a little further, I said these stars represent the stars of Orion, the belt of Orion. So being said again, now there should be something else that I said this is representing a star, because how could it be a star? These are houses, right? But again, I'm telling you, this is the communicating experience that it goes beyond your imagination. You know, we're in the area of Disney World, Magic Kingdom, Universal Studios, all these imaginary thoughts and ideas, but this is something real that's actually been planted right here. That's why I mentioned Nassau first, so we can go into this, go into the Stargate, what it is. Now, if I say Stargate, let's get it out the way right now, what Stargate is, okay? The Stargate goes back to the movie Stargate. All these things are connected. The day the Earth stood still. Independence Day, 1996 and 2016, 20 years later, which I have that too, because it's all connected. Because everything you're dealing with, when you're dealing with all types of movies, a lot of them are connected to intelligence, things that they want to get out. Same way they were showing war movies back in the 1950s and 60s, promoting the World War II and the national defense and all these things that they were talking about, the wars and got people to recruit because they wanted to fight the Germans and the Japs and the Vietnamese and all these people like that. They want to say that they want to go after. So they use that as a propaganda tool, Hollywood. And I meant Japanese, not to say Jap to be disrespectful, but I'm saying that it means that that's what those things were going on at the time. So now, as I show you this, that was dealing with the Defense Department. So I'll get right to it. Now, since I said these represent stars, now if we look here where I'm standing at, or sitting or living at the time, when there was no Google Earth, the house, the perimeter of the layout of the yard is in a pentagram.